Welcome to Rosie the Pivoter podcast, a Millspo Social magazine production, hosted by Editor-in-Chief Kara Sanchez. A bite-sized series spotlighting the bold pivots of female military-affiliated entrepreneurs navigating the unexpected turns of military life. Each episode highlights pivots born from the most unexpected skills and experiences, showing how those strengths are transformed into thriving businesses and brands. Designed to inspire women who feel the pull for something more, but are still building the courage to leap. Let's get ready to pivot. Welcome to Rosie the Pivoter podcast, a production of Millspo Social magazine. And we are very excited today to have with us Samantha Mans of Happiness Unleashed. And what's really exciting is that you were also featured in issue 2 of the magazine, and we're going to have to dive through all of the things that you're working on. But obviously, the whole point of this conversation is talking about the beauty and the pivot. So I don't know, I guess let's just start with you sharing with us a little bit about yourself and what you would consider the biggest pivot in your career.
Oh boy. Well, my husband is a Army MP, and currently we're at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. This was technically our first duty station, and we've now come back about 8 years later. Our first pivot that we made as, I guess, a couple, he was National Guard for the first 5 to 6 years of his career. And then he did the call to active duty that happened back in like 2018-ish, no, 2017. And we got sent down here. So I would say that was probably the most pivotal pivot, because it's really what started our true Army lifestyle. With him being in the Guard, I was focused on my career in the hospital. We were, he did his guard duty, he worked another job, and he just went to drill every month and came back. He'd asked me to move to Minnesota, which is where he did drill at, about every month, because it was an 8-hour drive each way. And I kept putting my foot down and saying, no, I'm not leaving the state of Wisconsin. I'm not leaving my family. And I look at that moment and I'm like, man, everyone's laughing at us now, because we came to Missouri, we were here for 1.5 years, and then we got sent to Germany for 3 years. So it's like, I'm not leaving the state, and then here we go and we leave the country. But it was the biggest blessing we could have asked for. And there was so much growth between both of us and myself individually. And it's just really set us up for the success that we've had now.
Absolutely. And what I find so interesting about your story and mine is the fact that there was this hesitation that existed about jumping fully into this lifestyle. And I relate to that because my husband was previously enlisted. And in a selfish way, I feel like I kind of forced him to get out, because I was like, this lifestyle is not it. Like, I can't live like this. And, after a decade, he decides to jump back in. And you really have to shift your mindset and not only mentally prepare yourself for what this lifestyle is, but then you also have to expand what the possibilities are. And I think that is what is so important about these conversations, is for anyone listening that feels like this lifestyle is hard. Yeah, it is. But there's also parts of it that are equally as beautiful and filled with adventure. And you just have to be open to those possibilities. And that's why we're having these conversations, right? Is because and I don't want to paraphrase, I want to give you the mic to say this, but you initially had a lot of anxiety around this whole situation and him deploying and all of that kind of stuff, which ultimately led you to create your journals, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And that is where the journal came from. He was deployed at the time that we were talking kind of back and forth at the transition to active duty. So it was a very strange transition, because they sent him home from his deployment early to then go active. So he was home for maybe like 48 hours, I want to say, before he had to report down to Leonard Wood. And then I came down here like 3 months later because I was like, I'm not leaving my work high and dry. I really loved the people I was working with. And doing my gratitude practice, my affirmation practice throughout that deployment, I think really helped open that up to the possibilities. It softened my heart. It led my mind to believe like, hey, there's other things that we can look at. There's other good things that we can look at, and we can find community and friends elsewhere. We can still hold on to the ones that we have and stay connected. And it doesn't have to be an all or nothing kind of decision. So I know, one of the hated phrases is, you know what you signed up for. I don't think I knew what I signed up for, but I did have an active role in making that decision with my husband. And I appreciate that because it wasn't just something he was like, I'm doing this. But he shared how important it was and that he really wanted to do this. And I wanted to support him just like he had supported me in my career. I was originally a CT and X-ray tech. And so being in the hospitals, I mean, there are hospitals everywhere. And depending on the season that we've been in, I've been clinical again and working in the hospitals or working from home or focusing solely on my small business. And it just depends on that season of life. And the fact that we can have those times where I can still have the purpose of helping people, because that's kind of where the root comes from. Even with my business, I just want to help more people. So if I can help people change that mindset, see more of the possibilities, see more of the opportunities, then I've done my job. That's all I want.
Yeah. And I guess for someone that maybe is stuck in a negative loop or a negative mindset and they're not able to get out of it, how would you encourage them to pivot out of that mindset?
I think the biggest thing is kind of recognizing first that you're in it. Because it is hard sometimes to recognize that we're in that. And I have fallen to that many times. Like I am not, perfect 100% of the time by any means. There are certainly seasons where I have not done my own gratitude practice, and I can tell that there's a difference in the way that I'm approaching things. So I think recognizing it is the biggest first step. And then pulling out that really small piece. It doesn't have to be big, but maybe your kiddo came and cuddled with you on the couch after school and said that they had a great day and now they're excited to hang out with you. Or, those really small things that you can just hold on to, and it'll slowly build as you continue that. And that's how it brings you out of that. It's not going to be, this night and day shift immediately. And that's okay. It takes time.
Absolutely. And okay, I want to go back to your original career path and to where you are now. So how do you get from radiology to deciding that you wanted to start like a mental well-being brand?
Right. Well, I mean, I entered healthcare because I had a servant heart. Like my family was always very involved in volunteer work and, our church back home and things like that. So I grew up surrounded by people that led with a servant heart. And I would like to think that they helped gift that to me as well. And so I went into the medical field because I knew I wanted to help people. I knew that nursing was not quite the career path for me for a few different reasons. And then I really loved the radiology part. It was fascinating to me. I really love that scientific and medical side of things. So that's where I started. The helping people is really at the heart of that. I had done coaching and personal training for a little bit. I have my certification in youth and family ministry. I always say that my resume is very eclectic, but I would say, again, at the root is how can I help people better themselves or help them or help someone else help them. And so the wellness brand and my company really came out of that desire to just help people more, seeing how the gratitude and affirmation practice impacted my own life and my own outlook, especially in this military lifestyle, and realizing that there's others that need this too. I looked honestly for years trying to find another gratitude journal or affirmation journal that did what mine does. That was very simple, was very easy to take out, do within 5 minutes, and then continue on with your day, but still have that reminder throughout your day. And I couldn't find one. So after I'd filled notebooks of my own just writings, I decided to build the framework and then publish that so that it could get into people's hands and be used without some of the extra to-dos that end up just feeling overwhelming, or you feel like, oh, now I didn't do that and I failed today, which you didn't. So
totally. Well, I'm glad that you were able to channel something that was maybe a pain point for you at one point and create a product and a service that is allowing other spouses or just people in general to focus on the good, because your mind will grow where you send it. And so when you're sending it to a positive place, that's, where that mindset shift is going to start to happen. And you are going to slowly start to get yourself out of a space if you are struggling. And so I think that's so important to have these tools that are grounded in gratitude, grounded in positivity, and grounded in personal experience, lived experience, because you're not only talking the talk, but you're walking the walk, and you're doing all of the things. And you are a pivoter of many, right? There's pivots that you've lived through, whether that be your husband's career trajectory, having to move to a different country, and then just learning how to incorporate your passions into, your own career timeline. So it's really cool to see all of the different pivots that you've lived through. Before we kind of wrap things up, are you able to share just a little bit about where people can find you, some of your offerings, as well as any updates or cool things that maybe are in the horizon for you?
Yeah. My website is happinesswithsamantha.com. All of my socials are at happinesswithsamantha. So everything is the same. So it's easy to find. I also have a shop on Spousely, which I love because they support all of us military entrepreneurs and first responder entrepreneurs. In the horizon, I don't have anything at the moment because we just launched at the beginning of this month my military spouse edition of Simply Grateful. And that came with a partnership with Carly Goodell, who is the founder of Plus One Heroes. So that is actually going in all of the spouse survival boxes that she is sending out with her nonprofit. But those are now available, which is really fun. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Incredible. Yeah, I'm so excited about the boxes that you have been talking about too. And for those of you that don't know, we've been talking behind the scenes about this a little bit just because Samantha is in issue 2 of the magazine. And it was really fun to get that email from you saying like, hey, by the way, like this is launched now, so we can change the page, And so yeah. I love it. But anyway, I also want to send people to read your article because you have some really good insider tips when it comes to positive mindset, and just, any spouse that feels like they're in a rut or frustrated in their experience, you are certainly not alone. And it's not that misery loves company, it's just that misery needs company. And so I think reading your article and reading some of the things that you have to say is going to inspire spouses to kind of get out of that negative mindset circle and really push themselves to look on the bright side. And you can hold 2 things at once. It can be really hard and it can be really frustrating. And there's so much to be grateful for. And I think that that's what you marry together so well. So, all right. Well, I am so glad that you were able to share all of your pivots with us. And everyone, we will be sure to see you next time. Thanks so much for listening to Rosie the Pivoter podcast. Don't forget, this is just one part of what we're building. We have an entire magazine and platform dedicated to supporting and elevating America's pivoters. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at MilspoSocialCo and check out milsposocialco.com to explore all the incredible